All right, hey everyone, continuing the series today of not just Warlord and Victrix. Most of my armies are made up of models from Warlord and Victrix, but I've done a lot of work in the past year to vary that and add in models from a few other manufacturers. Today, I'm not going to be showing you anything like that. I'm going to be showing you all 10mm models, and we'll go through the manufacturers as we go. A few years ago, my friends and I got into 10mm miniatures specifically to play Kings of War, To the Strongest, and Hail Caesar. And man, did I get addicted to it in a major way. I have dozens of painted 10mm models, dozens of painted 10mm armies. This is perhaps my favorite army. This is a Game of Thrones themed Tyrell army, using miniatures from Pendraken, Copplestone, Casting, and Magister Militum. And without further ado, let's get into it. This is the first unit I painted for this this little project. This is a unit of Tyrell pikemen. This is from Pendraken. It's from, I believe, their 14th century range. They are heavily armored pike. I've got one of my standard banner styles in there. I use Trident gum with some tacky glue and like to curl it and then prime and paint it. These guys, I had not settled on my basing style when I based them. So you see they're on a 40 by 80 mil. I tend to field them though in this deeper formation. And you see also it's necessary because those pikes extend out. I won't rebase them though. I think it looks fine with these filler bases in the front. I use some flowers I found on eBay for them. I have another unit much like that, which I'll show off. Just so you see there's a little difference. I've got a little bit of cobwebbing going there. Gonna clean them up. I really tried to have a little variation in the flower themes, partially so I could differentiate units. So if I have two units of pike, so I can pretty easily say the one that's yellow and purple is, you know, my veterans, and the one that's pink and whatever are, you know, mercenary troops that are a little less motivated, you know, whatever the case is. In this case, I tend to field them both as a deep veteran pike, because you look at all that great armor they have on there. They also paint up super quick because of that armor. Little something different, we have Copplestone castings. This comes from the range that they have for, what is it for? It is for Gondor, Men of Gondor. These are Gondor spearmen. In particular, I field these as, I'm looking up what it's called. It is Caswell, House Caswell. It's kind of a centaur archer. I've got another unit for Caswell too. We're going to get into a little later on in this. Really great models. They do come in strips. These are meant for Lord of the Rings style War Master. The strips are cool. They look great. They do overhang 40mm a little bit. So I really wish they were cut with a little more precision, but looks pretty good. You can clip them off pretty easily because the guys don't technically join each other. So you can kind of clip a sprue and have them 4 wide if you really wanted to. I liked having all these guys like this, so I went that wide. And the strip is nice to have them really ranked up perfectly too. Again, I followed the kind of flowery bases like I do with all of my Tyrells, as you would think is thematic. While we're on the topic of Caswell, I'll show off my Caswell horse archers. I figured with their livery being a centaur archer, I figure horse archers would be really great for this. These guys. These are actually rangers of Gondor. You know, think of kind of the Osgiliath mounted riders. Riders of Rohan with bows. I tend to use this model range of these horse archers as Night's Watch, and I have a few units of Night's Watch painted up like this. They work really well for that, but I took the guys with the helmets because I didn't think those were very Night's Watchy, and put them in this small unit. This is, again, Copplestone castings. Really like how they came out. A lot of yellow. It adds a little pop to the army. Well, I think every unit adds a little pop to this army. A little cavalry to show off. These are I forget which of these Fossaways are. There's a red Fossaway and a green Fossaway. These are my red Fossaways. Can't remember what the Fossaways with red are called, but we won't worry about that. They are allied to both Renly Baratheon and to the Tyrells. That's important because this army, for me, is both my Tyrell army and an extension to my Renly Baratheon army. These miniatures you might recognize are mounted men-at-arms from the War Master range. I thought they fit pretty nicely with the theme here of Highgarden and the Reach. Next up, let's go back to some Pendraken. And not one, not two, or three, but 4 small units of archers. Use these as light infantry archers. Front 2 are traditional Tyrells that support typically my pikeman blocks. The guys in the orange are House Mullendore. They are orange and white and typically use butterflies as part of their heraldry. They support my Mullendore troops, which I'll show a little later. And then these are for House Siri. House Siri is a really small house, I think in the southwest of the Reach, and they are, I think, a near extinct house, if I remember correctly. They might have lost out in a pretty big way to the raiders from the Iron Islands. But I wanted one detachment of them to support my Hightower forces, which are an allied contingent that goes inside of this greater army. And you know what? I'll go with one of my Hightower units next to show that off. These are my Knights of Hightower. So we've got, they're led by Hightower Lord. He's got a tower and a helmet. That's a War Master figure. The rest are Pendraken. And I threw in banners from a lot of the different houses. I'm not going to remember what each one's called. I think this one might be Beesworthy. That's Mullendore. Don't remember this one. I don't remember this one with the bull head. Probably something like Bull. You know, a lot of the Game of Thrones house names are pretty literal, but this was a really fun, colorful unit to do. And historicals, I treat them as Germanic, 14th century mercenary knights, or kind of unlanded knights. Next up, let's show those Mullendore troops, Mullendore halberdiers. This is mostly Pendraken. I really love Pendraken's 10mm, man. Just looking at these reminds me how much I love Pendraken. This guy here and this standard bearer are both from War Master Bretonnian range, but I just wanted a couple command models, and I'm not in love with the Pendraken command models for every single unit. I wanted a little more variety for the houses, so that is Mullendore. Again, I use them as halberdiers or billmen. Here's some Magister Militum models. These are Pavice crossbowmen. These are, I'm going to forget the name of the house, something like Beesworthy or Beesworth. It's their heraldry is black and yellow with a beehive. So they've got that checkerboard appearance. I could use these also with my Baratheon forces and just call them Baratheons really easily, which I do sometimes. I've got a ton more that are back here waiting to be based up to match these armies. I'll do a couple of units together here of Foot Knights. These were just really easy and quick to paint up. I did a couple of custom banners for Tyrells here. And then these are a couple of detachments from Renly Baratheon's forces. So I got the stag with the crown on it, but they can easily mix in with the rest of the Tyrell troops, as long as I don't kind of put any attention on those banners. No one's really going to notice, so I can field them either way. And that was pretty intentional because, like I said, I want to be able to either field this as Renly's forces with allied Tyrells, or Tyrell forces with just a few units that are unaffiliated. So, quite unaffiliated. We have Peasants. Peasants of the Reach. I don't think they really wear this much green, but it's fun to kind of tie an army together like this. Just a bunch of guys with pitchforks. These are from Pendraken's acquired line. I believe it's called TB line. They are very high quality 10mm. One complaint I have is they just don't seem to be releasing them very fast. So I've had to go and scour the aftermarket, and I have bought up a huge amount of TB line stuff from basically a bunch of small foreign websites that still had stock. And I just bought those because I'm not sure if those will ever get released by Pendraken for Ancients in particular. This is Renly and the Rainbow Knights. Pendraken Knight models, and I've got one for each color of the rainbow. It's a little in your face, but it was a fun little unit to do. And then Renly himself is a War Master Bretonnian general. I put him in green and put a little stag on his shield. Can't really see it that well there, but that's okay. Probably a little more heroic proportion than the rest of the models around him, but I think it worked still pretty well. I like how that came out. When I'm fielding the Tyrells, I typically don't use that unit of Knights. This unit of Knights, though, I do use. These are my Tyrell Knights. These were within the first batch of Pendraken models that I painted for this force. They come from their late European medieval lines. Really great details and a lot of armor, so they paint up really, really quickly. I love Pendraken. I love everything that Leon does. And this was a really fun unit to put together, and I also made sure to put in a couple of extra banners on there for fun, add some color, and I love seeing the banners flapping in the wind. Two more units to highlight here. We'll start with the big boy. This is one of the more recent additions to the army. This is a Bretonnian Trebuchet. This is a removable unit filler of just some giant rocks that maybe are going to get hammered out to be ammunition, because I wanted this to fit on the size base that I use for To the Strongest. Or I can take it off for War Master, which is, man, still really huge base. This is a large piece. This is likely a recast. I bought it on eBay. Based on the price, like I said, likely a recast, but that's okay. I'm not a collector. And it's out of print, so I don't find any ethical or moral issues. If you do, it's okay. I don't. It's a piece of metal. But man, what a cool model. Just so huge. You know, you compare it to some of the other units. I'll bring out my Mullendore guys again. It just looks so imposing on the battlefield. It's really cool. It reminds me of that scene from the new movie about, I'm gonna forget what it's called. I forget this stuff all the time. It's a Chris Pine movie on Netflix, Outlaw King, that's what it is. There's a really great scene with the actor who played Stannis Baratheon. Last up, one of my favorite little pieces. This is my camp that I use for games that require a camp, or that optionally have one. So it can be fielded a couple different ways. I field it in the movement tray with a little spacer, or I can have it off to the side just as just something throwaway. Could be even a commander if I want. And see if I can focus on these guys. This is a couple of Tyrell guys just having a great time. I think Mace Tyrell might be represented here. Sitting back with a drink, looking over a map and applauding what military genius he has. Of course, he has an advisor there who knows better. But this was a fun one to put together. It's a Bretonnian tent with these two commander models from the Empire range, which is really kind of a Landsknecht style. And then I think they've got a couple of oversized D6s and beer and a map on their table. Really fun. This little dog under there too, and he's got his feet on an overturned helmet. It's just So many cool details. Oh, and we got like a helmet down here too. Really fun to put that together. And then I've got a couple of dice frames back here, and you might have noticed the whole army has dice frames. These dice frames are made by Minifigs, which I believe is a subsidiary owned by Pendraken, or at least they're a close partner of Pendraken's. I use these dice frames to measure wounds, or to use different colored die to show which command unit is in, and whether or not they're disordered. It's just really helpful having these frames at the smaller scales, because as you move the models, they take the dice with them. You never have to figure out, oh, where did this wound go? No matter how many times people tell me that they don't need something like that and they never lose track of their dice, next time you're playing a game that requires you to kind of move around wound markers, take a mental note of yourself early game, and then to see if they forget to move their wounds ever. Happens every time, no matter how many times somebody adamantly tells you they never forget. So having these dice frames just is pretty nice, because it's just one less thing to worry about. I think it looks nice, or nice enough for my purposes. So that's the army. Let me know what you think. I have dozens more of these painted armies for Game of Thrones style, all the way back to Ancients, and I'd love to showcase them if there's some interest. They are designed to be used with To the Strongest, Hail Caesar, and Kings of War. There's a really good community of folks who play Kings of War in 10mm, and the game holds up at that small scale. So anyways, if interested, leave some notes in the comments, and please do subscribe. All right, well, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.